So welcome to the final session of the day. And I have to say, we've got three absolutely superb speakers to finish the day. In fact, I rarely use the term legends. I think it's much overused, but we have three legends of the channel to finish today. Each of them is going to be talking about a topic that they are very passionate about. And they are going to have 10 minutes to tell you all about it, unsupported by slides. And we're going to go very quickly from one speaker to the next. And the chat will be open, but there will be no Q&A. But feel free to chat and to comment. I'm really looking forward to working with all three of them and hearing what they have to say, as I'm sure you are as well. So I am now going to introduce our first speaker of the day. And he is, if we can bring him to the forefront, CEO, Chief Analyst and founder of Channelnomics, a provider of go-to-market strategy, research and consulting services. He's a trusted advisor to vendors and channel chiefs around the world. He's a frequent speaker at industry events on technology and channel trends. And he's the former editor and publisher of several channel and technology magazines. And today, Larry is going to talk about 5 things you can do to more effectively engage with the hyperscalers. And he has 10 minutes to talk about that. So Larry, without further ado, over to you.
Thank you, Rod, and thank you everybody for joining this afternoon. As Rod said, I'm Larry Walsh of Channelnomics, and he is right. Hyperscalers is one of the things that I do follow carefully and closely. I tend to describe hyperscalers as the black holes of IT buying in the channel, and we know who they all are. And I know this make a comparison of black holes and hyperscalers may seem like a negative, and I don't intend it that way. When I say they're black holes, I mean that they're inescapable. They are pulling the customers into their orbits, into their gravitational wells. They are also then, by virtue of that, pulling more vendors and more solution providers closer to them. They are becoming not just an alternate form of go-to-market, they are becoming a primary go-to-market route for many companies, vendors and partners. And it's a lot of that has to do with the economic benefits and the desires of the customers. Now, this is a really amazing statistic, and unfortunately, it's not mine. It comes from Gartner, so I give them due credit. 83% of B2B buyers want to purchase through a marketplace or a hyperscaler. And think about that just for a minute, is that 83% want to buy through some digital sales platform. Millennials, this is very much a generational issue, by the way. Millennials, people who are between 28 and 43 years old, and then Gen Zs, those are 18 to 27, predominantly want to buy through marketplaces and digital sales platforms. And the reasons for it are fairly simple. So it's first thing about it, it's convenience. It's just plain easier to buy through a hyperscaler, through a marketplace. They want to have that Amazon-like experience. And that comes into the other factor that they look for. They want low friction. Amazingly, and this is particularly among millennials and Gen Zs, they want to talk less with salespeople or interact with people directly, and they want to just be able to do things on their own. They go to the hyperscalers not just to purchase, but also but they're also in there to do research. They want to see what they can play with, what could benefit their businesses, what are the things that they don't necessarily know about, and they don't want to be encumbered by the sales process up front. It doesn't mean that they're going to avoid it entirely. It just means that they want to go through things at their pace. And finally, the thing that's drawing them to the hyperscalers is the economics of it all. So a lot of companies, particularly the enterprise, they sign these long-term contracts that have predetermined spending requirements or commitments. And so what the hyperscalers have done, and they're quite astute when they built it this way, is that they made it so that the customers can retire some of their commitment by purchasing third-party products. And hence they stand up all the marketplaces, because if they purchase the products through them and they stand those products up on their platforms and in their infrastructure, then they make money too. So it's a win-win for everybody in the process. From a vendor perspective, the hyperscalers and marketplaces, really are presenting an unprecedented opportunity to thrive. And the entire idea that you can be making money while your customer, your customers can be buying with you and making you money while you're sleeping is really appealing. And again, the same economic appeal to the vendors, that the customers have applied to the vendors as well. And which is the reason why you're seeing many vendors talking about doing seven-figure transactions through hyperscalers. And the partners are also finding it to be convenient for them as well, is that they're able to bring customers to the hyperscalers and leverage things like private offers to be able to transact sales where the customers are. So here's what we're here to talk about, is how can you work more effectively with the hyperscalers, work more with Amazon and Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud and Oracle Cloud. Here's 5 things we can talk about. First, I encourage you, before you step up to the plate with the hyperscaler, define your expectations, your objectives. It's not an automatic win proposition for you. You really have to understand what you're trying to accomplish and what you want to achieve. There's all kinds of geographic and jurisdictional requirements that come with working with hyperscalers. But the first thing that really does come to fore is you have to define what you're trying to do and what the level of success that you're trying to achieve. That recognizing through hyperscalers often is incremental over time, but it really does start with share shift. You are moving sales from one channel to another. The second thing to consider is selecting the right products. Now, the thing is that you're just not going to go in and stand up everything on your line card, everything in your portfolio. The products that you choose to sell through a hyperscaler really do have to align with what the customers are hosting in their hyperscaler environments, and also the infrastructure that the hyperscalers are built on. It really is about adjacencies. And if you can select the products within your portfolio that best align and best meet the customer needs, what they're trying to do within the cloud environments, whether it's in the infrastructure or platform service, then you have a greater probability of being able to drag in or be drafted into a sale that complements what they're already doing. The third thing I like to bring up is how to define the role of your partners. At Channelnomics, we talk about this frequently, is that channels need a purpose. They need a mission in order for the partners to really engage. And selling through hyperscalers often comes with a level of channel conflict. Many partners encounter this, is that they work on deals and then the customer realizes that they have some level of credit that they have to spend down within their hyperscalers, and they flip the sale over. There really needs to be an imperative for the partners to engage the hyperscalers, some benefit for them to be able to work with you and the hyperscaler to be able to facilitate the sale, to facilitate the experience. And I'll give Rod Bapty credit for this, because he's often said this about working with Amazon on the marketplace side. The hyperscalers are only going to really deliver what the hyperscaler experience is. They're not going to deliver the experience of selecting the right product, doing the right configurations, and helping with the support. And so you really can define roles that your partners can play in this process and keep them engaged and make it rewarding for them. The fourth thing is make sure that you have the appropriate level of resources and support. And again, it's not like you're just posting a product on an e-commerce site and the customers are going to come and just start swiping credit cards. This is a process, particularly when you're dealing with things like private offers. You have to have a lot of back and forth, and many vendors find that they have to invest more than they anticipated when they start standing up with AWS or Azure. That they have to have a team that's not just there to facilitate the sales, but also help with the post-sales implementations and help with the support. And in fact, many of the hyperscalers will require that you provide support for the products. They're not going to do it for you, so that becomes the opportunity to then pass back to the channel. The last thing, our fifth point here, is leverage the marketing and co-selling resources that are available through the hyperscalers. They all want to co-sell with you. If you can help their sellers retire their number, they're going to be more enthusiastic about representing your brands, promoting your products, engaging with customers, and bringing them into you. And also the hyperscalers are absolutely eager to bring more customers into them. So they are being very generous with their marketing funds and their co-development funds. So there's a lot of resources that they provide that you can take advantage of. Now, because I do have a couple minutes left, I will put in a sixth bonus thing. And this is true of anything you do in your go-to-markets. Measure, adjust, report, and expand. Nothing exists in a vacuum. And just as you do with everything else in sales, with your direct sales or your channel sales, you should establish a set of key performance indicators that are aligned with your objectives, routinely measure performance, make the adjustments in your product mixes and your resources, and expand the participation accordingly, meaning adding products or subtracting them. You do this, then you will find that you have the appropriate level of success. Now, there's a lot more that we could talk about regarding hyperscaler strategies and practices, and this is just the beginning. Channelnomics and the channel focus community have several resources and references to help navigate the hyperscaler journey. The channel focus community in particular has several members experienced in hyperscaler partnerships, and I encourage you to contact us and contact everyone else in this community to help guide your journey forward. You will find success there. So with that, Rod, thank you for the time, and thank you everyone here for attending.
Larry, thank you very much indeed. Great insights, really, really much appreciated. And I know very much valued by the people on the call. Our second speaker today is the RVP Americas channel at Epicor. She's had 22 years in channel sales in the enterprise software space. She's an inspirational leader who's created an open, collaborative, and growth-orientated work environment within the team she leads. And she's a mentor of early in career, high-potential women in business. And Brenda today is going to be talking about 5 things you can do to get the work done whilst maintaining a proper work-life balance. A topic, gosh, I've been struggling with for far too many years. So Brenda, over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rod. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about something that I am so passionate about, maintaining work-life balance. And as you can see from my background, I'm doing that right now because I am reconstructing my kitchen and using my office as a holding pattern for all of my things. So anyway, I thought that was a little catchy. So maintaining work-life balance, that has always been a priority for me in my career. I have always been, since early in my career, a single mother of 3 boys. And so it's been a challenge to figure out, how do I get everything done? How do I focus on the priorities in my career? How do I make sure, that I'm accomplishing all of the goals I need to accomplish at work, but also still being there for my children and a good mom and focused on the things I need to be at home? I think a lot of us, have that same challenge, whether it's, extended family, children, activities, whatever the case may be. We all have things that we need to prioritize in our life because it's important to keep that balance. But we also want to focus on our careers, and we certainly don't want to appear that that's not of interest to us either. So I think it's a difficult thing to kind of figure out. It takes some time. Some experts say that setting clear boundaries and having very firm work hours and not deviating from that is a critical component of work-life balance. I absolutely disagree with that theory. I feel like in today's climate with technology, we have access to work anywhere, anytime, really on a plane, in a car, from home, from an office. It really doesn't matter. We can accomplish work wherever we are. And so I think we should take advantage of that. I think, having the flexibility to be nimble, people don't really expect an 8 to 5. I know a lot of people that call me at 6 a.m. and I know a lot of people that call me at 10 p.m. And some, you do what you have to do. But I think it's a benefit, at least it works out for me, because I've been able to kind of work the life part in between there. And I think it works out really well. One of the things that I will say is that I think leveraging your calendar is one thing. Beyond being flexible with your schedule, leveraging your calendar is a way to actually control some of that work-life balance, and making sure that you're accounting for time that you need. So for example, if you have kids that are school age and you need to make sure you're dropping off and picking up, build that into your calendar so that you don't have meetings conflicting and you're not stressed out about the ability to get to and from those locations. Same for sporting events and practices, doctor's appointments. All of those things can be built into your calendar so that you can, make sure that you're making the time and that people aren't trying to book your time. I know that happens to a lot of us. People find a little tiny spot in your calendar and they'll grab it. So you need to make sure that you're, leaving a little bit of a cushion so that you can get those things done. I found that to be incredibly effective. Also, I've always been very lucky because I've been able to work from home for a lot of my career, which I think allows for additional flexibility. If you don't have the luxury of working from home, it probably is a little bit more challenging to work out those hours when you're in an office setting. But if you do have the benefit of working from home, being able to really leverage that flexibility and schedule is a really great thing to be able to have that work-life balance. At times in my career, as I'm sure many of you have experienced as well, business travel has been a bit of a challenge. I think it's really important, to have the flexibility to be able to travel. You need to be able to do your job. Business meetings are necessary. You absolutely, sometimes can't control when those take place, and you need to be able to be there. I think for me, having really good, solid caregiver options, having a really great place to board my dogs has been really important. But in addition to that, one of the things that I've always done with my kids is I take them on a vacation at least once a year. I use all the points that I've collected, through the business travel. And it makes them feel like they're kind of benefiting from all the trips I'm taking, whether or not I'm using points or not. They think I am. So it definitely makes them feel like they're part of the benefit of letting mom go and be part of this business environment that I'm part of. So that's always been kind of a great way for me to tie the family into the business travel requirement. I also think that honing your skills in the areas of time management, prioritization, communication, delegation, which can be challenging for some of us, but at the management level, delegation is an absolute critical component. Those things all help you to create a nice work-life balance for yourself. Everybody's work-life balance is a little bit different, right? It depends on what your priorities are and what your life situation is. An additional thing I wanted to add was it might be a little bit taboo in a lot of workplace environments, but I think it's critical to maintaining our sanity that we have the ability to say no. That might sound a little bit harsh or a little bit confusing, but I think it's reasonable for us to be able to say no, not right now. That's going to require more resources. I can't take that on today, but I could maybe look at taking it on in the future. I think it's really important that we know our limitations, that we know when we're over capacity, and that we're able to articulate that, whether it's asking for help from others or just simply saying no. That's the answer. I think that that's a reasonable thing. Now, I think we'll all probably have experiences where that's really not the right answer from a corporate perspective. But, if you know your limitations and you're able to kind of put a line there, I think you'll find that you're actually much more successful in the things that you are taking on right now. And if you try to overload yourself, you tend up being a little bit less successful across the board. And nobody wants that, right? So I think understanding those limitations is a really important thing. Sorry, I have to flip my note page. Wow, those were actually the things that I wanted to talk about. So I guess I'm a little bit under time. Rod, I'm going to wrap it up, but I just really want to thank you for letting me share. I want to really echo what was just said about, reaching out to the community. I think the Channel Executive Council and the Channel community here within Rod's organization is just a phenomenal group of resources to be able to ask questions, get advice, and seek expertise. And it's been wonderful for me. So I really appreciate it. And that's it for me today.
Fabulous, Brenda. Thank you so very, very much. Some great guidance, great tips for everyone. I think it's a topic that we all struggle with. And I'm now delighted to invite our third speaker and our final speaker of the day, as I say, who needs very, very little introduction. His name is Frank Rauch. He's the Global Channel Chief of Cato Networks, and he's currently their Channel Chief He's previously been a channel leader with Checkpoint, VMware, and HPE, to name just a few. He's an award winner, a team builder, with his teams winning over 150 channel awards, and Frank being listed consistently in the top 25 channel execs, and very proud to have received a Channel Lifetime Achievement Award in 2020, having had a role in developing over 25 channel executives. And I've also spoken to some of the people that Frank's interacted with over the years, and they absolutely sing Frank's praises. So he's been an advisor for some of the most successful startups in the industry, and he mentors and teaches entrepreneurs, and is on several non-profit boards. And today, Frank is going to be sharing 5 things to more effectively make the case for the channel with your C-suite. So Frank, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really great to be with you. I'm not sure it's great to be the last speaker of the day, but I am actually joining you from Australia. So that's how committed I am to Rod, his organization, and you. So what I wanted to talk to you about is to be able to how to interact with this C-suite. And it's a lot to be able to cram into 10 minutes, but I will try to do my best. So the first thing is familiarity and doing your homework. So the good thing about C-suite and most of the companies we operate on, these people are very public people. And I don't mean just LinkedIn. They're usually published. They usually have other sources. They have multiple bios available, etc. So be able to get to know them, and to be able to get to know them externally as well as internally. Meaning that internally you can find out about them from people that know them. Externally, you can read the earnings releases. You can watch their videos. You can learn kind of how they think, how they talk, what the language of that C-suite of this C-suite is. The second part is to be able to get them involved with partners. Now you need to be able to do this with courage, fortitude, and hope is definitely not a strategy in this game. But if they're prepared and the partner is prepared, it can be the most wonderful thing you could ever do. I'll give you a couple examples. Pat Gelsinger, who is now running Intel. Pat and I made multiple calls on some of the largest partners around the world. Same thing with Mark Hurd, but it doesn't have to be the CEO. At Checkpoint, it was definitely the CFO, Tal Pine. But being able to spend the time preparing the partner and preparing the executive. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean necessarily, hey, the person we're going to talk to has been with the company for 10 years. Basically, this is how they came up with the line. Yeah, that's all part of it. How many children they have, where they live, and maybe. But what it really is, what are they expecting to be able to get out of the meeting? But more importantly, what unique value from your level are they expecting? And what's the positive outcome? Now, that's the internal conversation with the partner exec. It's also the internal conversation with your C-level, or it's the external conversation with the partner exec. So there absolutely is no surprises. There will be. Don't get me wrong. Something will come up in a meeting. I could tell you stories for days, but we're not going to fit that in for 10 minutes. So the third point is how to keep score. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people in a channel that have gotten let go for various reasons. One of the key reasons that people get let go in the channel, especially at the channel chief role, is a lack of alignment. And normally the lack of alignment has to do with keeping score. I can tell you how to get fired. This is my quick tip if you take it that way. All you have to do is bring in some kind of chart. I've seen this in meetings. It's absolutely horrifying, where everything in the channel is all green. And basically the company has just released earning results that are not so green. Nobody wants to hear it. What they want to hear is they want to be aligned. So if you're going to talk about deal reg, if you're going to talk about MDF, which are traditional channel terms, then make sure you have clear linkage to what the company has to accomplish, what the effect on the company is, positive or negative, and please don't just give them the good news. Tell them what the challenges are, how they can help you overcome the channel, but make sure that they understand you're willing to own it. I would also say recency and consistency too. Take advantage of what's going on in the industry or what's going on in the world. I am very fortunate to work for Cato. I am very proud that they are an Israeli company, but certain regions of the world don't necessarily see it that way. And we have customers that are distributed around the world. Take those issues head on. Take those issues head on and basically use your executive team to be able to communicate it. They could also be industry events such as, Broadcom acquiring VMware, or some of the other events that are going on in the industry right now. Have them be a talking head, a speaker to a channel executive call to be able to get in front of some of these issues, whether they're positive or whether they're negative. How to use them? Basically, roll to roll is fine. One on many is great. Basically, we have partners that are having these large kickoff events. They love to have channel CEOs talk. I mean, I'm sure they like us to talk too, but it's really different, and you can create a different experience. Don't wait to be asked. Take a proactive approach, and it's not just the partners that you're going to recruit. It's also the partners that are steady partners for you to be able to just say, hey, we haven't connected at the executive level in a while. I want to invite you to a call, or my CEO or my CFO or COO is going to be in the area, and I'd like to be able to do a face-to-face meeting. But the one thing I've found is they absolutely have steel memories. So if you're going to do any of the 4 steps before this or 5 steps before this, make sure that you're always following up and you're not giving them action items. You're telling them what the action item is. You're keeping them informed. You're telling them how you're going to own the action item. Then you're asking for help, very specific help in terms of what's needed. But always within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, make sure you follow up, again, to the positive or the negative, so they're not surprised. You will have a really happy partner community. You'll have an ecstatic C-suite, and you'll have a long life as a channel chief. So thank you, Rod, for the opportunity. I think I'm right at time. So I really enjoyed it, and thanks for having me.
Larry, Brenda, and Frank, thank you very, very much indeed. Frank, great finish to the day. I'll allow you to go to sleep because it is, I suspect, still very early in the morning in Australia at the moment.
Well, I've been going for the last 3 hours. It's actually time to go to work now.
Well, thank you so very, very much. Some great suggestions, great points. And I think one of the things we miss most in doing this is actually one of the best ways to do things, as Frank says, is to get your C-suite in front of your partners, and too few of us do that. So really, really great suggestions there, Frank. Much appreciated. Like to thank everyone who's spoken today, everyone who's taken part in the panels, and most important of all, everyone who has attended. And very much looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. We have a fabulous first session. This pretty much rolls off another side of what Frank was saying. We spent far too little time really talking to and understanding what our partners actually want. And tomorrow morning, we have 3 partners coming in to tell you about their business, what they're looking for from you, and what that means in terms of the relationship you need to build with them. So thank you all very, very much indeed. we're now finished for today, and I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow morning.